Willis and Ashton Kutcher, and how the old fears from her turbulent childhood caught her by surprise. But we start with a photo session that created a sensation.
He landed in her life like a dream. She was 40, healing from divorce. He was 25, charming, and promised her the world. But what started as Hollywood's most talked about romance ended in Demi Moore's darkest chapter. Now at 62, she's finally telling the whole story. The miscarriage they kept secret, the 3 she regrets, and the addiction that nearly killed her. This is what really happened between Demi and Ashton. Demi Moore was born on November 11, 1962, in Roswell, New Mexico. Her life was difficult from the start. Her father left before she was even born, and her mother struggled to take care of her. Things got worse when at just 15, Demi went through a horrible betrayal. In her memoir, she shared how her mother allowed an older man to hurt her for $500. This left deep emotional scars that stayed with her for years. Her home life was chaotic. Both her parents drank heavily, and the family moved constantly, over 30 times by the time she turned 14. Demi never felt stable or safe. When she was just 12, she experienced something no child should. Her mother tried to take her own life. Demi had to dig pills out of her mother's mouth with her small hands while her stepfather held her down. That moment forced her to grow up far too quickly. School wasn't any better for Demi. She struggled with dyslexia and had a condition that required surgeries on her eyes. By 16, she dropped out of school and decided to live on her own. She worked different jobs to support herself, including modeling and debt collection. At 17, she married a rock musician, Freddie Moore, hoping to leave her troubled past behind. But the marriage only lasted 4 years. Despite everything, Demi didn't give up. She wanted a better future and kept pushing forward. At 19, Demi got her first big chance. She was cast in the soap opera General Hospital, playing a journalist named Jackie Templeton. Over 1,000 actresses tried for the role, but Demi stood out. She made just $750 per episode, but this role was the beginning of something bigger. Her character Jackie was strong and determined, which wasn't common for women on TV at that time. Demi's performance impressed viewers and producers alike. Off-screen, Demi faced a serious problem. She was struggling with addiction. She partied heavily, often for days. Her director Joel Schumacher stepped in when he saw her potential. He helped her stay sober by arranging for someone to be with her all the time during the filming of her next big project, St. Elmo's Fire. This support helped her turn her life around. In 1985, Demi starred in St. Elmo's Fire, which became a huge success. The movie was about a group of friends navigating adulthood and featured other young stars like Rob Lowe and Emilio Estevez. Demi played Jules, a party girl with her own struggles, a role that mirrored some of her real-life challenges. But getting the role wasn't easy. Joel Schumacher gave her an ultimatum: get sober or lose the part. Demi chose to fight her addiction and succeeded. The studio even paid for someone to stay with her throughout filming, making sure she stayed on track. The film made Demi a part of the Brat Pack, a group of rising young stars in the 1980s. While the term wasn't loved by the actors, it brought them fame and attention. Demi's performance in St. Elmo's Fire opened more doors for her. Soon, she starred in movies like About Last Night and Ghost, which made her one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Years later, people still talk about the Brat Pack. In 2024, a documentary called Brats premiered where Demi and her co-stars reflected on that era. There are even talks of a sequel to St. Elmo's Fire, with hopes of reuniting the original cast including Demi. Demi Moore became a superstar in 1990 with the movie Ghost. The film was a massive hit, making $55.7 million worldwide even though it was made on a small budget of $22 to $23 million. It became the highest-grossing movie of 1990 and, at the time, the third highest-grossing film ever. People loved it so much that it became the most rented video in the US in 1991. In Ghost, Moore played Molly Jensen, and her performance touched audiences deeply. The pottery wheel scene with Patrick Swayze, set to Unchained Melody, became iconic and is still remembered as one of the most famous moments in movie history. Her short haircut in the film also became a global fashion trend, with women everywhere copying the look. The movie's success also had a personal side for Moore. While Ghost was topping the box office, her husband Bruce Willis's film Die Hard 2 was also a huge hit. At one point, their movies were the top 2 films in theaters at the same time. This hadn't happened for another married Hollywood couple until 34 years later. The success of Ghost also earned Moore a Golden Globe nomination and a Saturn Award for Best Actress, showing how much critics and fans appreciated her work. The movie wasn't just a love story, it mixed romance, comedy, and supernatural elements in a way that was new for Hollywood. Its success proved that movies with unique ideas could still be big hits. This inspired filmmakers to try more creative storytelling in the years that followed. After Ghost, Moore continued to shine in major roles. In 1992, she starred with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. The movie made over $243 million worldwide, and Moore played Lieutenant Commander Joanne Galloway, showing she could hold her own in a serious, male-dominated film. In 1993, Moore starred in Indecent Proposal, which was a huge box office success, earning nearly $267 million on a $38 million budget. The movie asked a provocative question: would a married woman sleep with a stranger for $1 million? Moore played Diana Murphy, and her performance started big debates about morality and relationships. But the role also brought criticism. Feminists argued that the movie treated women like property. Moore later said that the backlash she faced during this time was one of the hardest parts of her career. Despite this, she kept taking on bold roles, seeing them as a way to challenge society's expectations about women. Moore's career took an even riskier turn with 2 controversial movies in the mid-1990s. In 1996, she starred in Striptease, where she played a stripper. The movie got a lot of attention because of its daring subject and Moore's nude scenes. She was paid $12.5 million for the role, making her the highest-paid actress in Hollywood at that time. Then in 1997, Moore starred in G.I. Jane. In this film, she played the first woman to go through Navy SEAL training. To prepare for the role, Moore shaved her head on camera and did many of her own stunts. She also trained hard, building muscle and lowering her body fat to just 10%. These 2 roles showed opposite sides of Moore. In Striptease, she embraced her femininity and sexuality, while in G.I. Jane, she took on a tough, masculine role. This sparked debates about gender roles in Hollywood. Moore herself reflected on this, saying that playing a stripper upset women and playing a soldier upset men. Even though these movies brought controversy, they also made Moore's star power even bigger. But the criticism and public scrutiny affected her deeply. In her 2019 memoir, Moore shared that this period marked the start of a tough time in her personal life with struggles involving substance abuse and body image issues. Demi Moore's life took a significant turn when she married musician Freddie Moore at just 17 years old. This happened on February 8, 1980. The marriage didn't come from love. It was more about escaping the pain of losing her stepfather. She admitted this years later in her memoir Inside Out. In fact, the night before the wedding, instead of feeling excited or happy, she was on the phone with another man she'd met on a movie set. Even before it started, the marriage felt like it wasn't going to work. She took Freddie's last name and made it her stage name, which stayed with her for her entire career. During their marriage, they even worked together on some songs like It's Not a Rumor, which became a small hit. But the relationship was tough. Demi was still so young, trying to figure out who she was while being in this grown-up relationship. She later said she sabotaged the marriage herself, knowing deep down it wasn't right. It ended in 1985, but it left a lasting mark on her, shaping how she saw love, trust, and herself. However, Demi's love story with Bruce Willis started like something out of a movie. They met in 1987 at a premiere while Demi was engaged to another actor, Emilio Estevez. The spark between Demi and Bruce was undeniable. 4 months later, they were in Las Vegas for a boxing match when Bruce proposed. They got married right then and there on November 21, 1987. It was impulsive, but it worked for a while. They became one of Hollywood's most famous couples. Bruce was a rising star with Die Hard, and Demi was becoming one of the highest-paid actresses ever. They had 3 daughters together, Rumor, born in 1988, Scout in 1991, and Tallulah in 1994. But their careers kept them apart a lot, and they had different ideas about family. Bruce wanted Demi to stay home more, but she was breaking records, earning $12.5 million for striptease and showing no signs of slowing down. Even with the challenges, they managed to stay close for a long time. They even acted together in the movie Mortal Thoughts. But in 1998, after 11 years of marriage, they decided to separate. Unlike many Hollywood divorces, theirs was surprisingly peaceful. They stayed friends, co-parented their kids, and even attended each other's weddings later on. Their blended family became an example of how divorced couples can still support each other. Demi's biggest challenge during all this was balancing her career with being a mom. When she had Rumor in 1988, she didn't slow down. By 1991, she made headlines posing nude while pregnant with Scout for the cover of Vanity Fair. That photo became iconic, showing the world that being a mom didn't mean hiding or being ashamed of your body. She worked hard to make her career fit her family life. On the set of G.I. Jane, she had a nursery built for her youngest daughter. But no matter how much she did, she often felt guilty for not being there enough. After splitting from Bruce, she made a huge decision to leave Hollywood and move to Idaho. She wanted her daughters to have a normal life away from the spotlight, even if it meant stepping back from her career. This choice showed how much she valued being a mom above everything else. In 2003, Demi Moore met Ashton Kutcher at the New York premiere of Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle. Demi was 40 years old at the time and Ashton was 25. Despite the 15-year age gap, they felt an immediate connection. Demi was drawn to Ashton's charm and humor. Within a day of meeting, they had an 8-hour phone call where they talked about their dreams and life philosophies. This deep conversation set the tone for their fast-moving romance. Just 3 weeks after meeting, Ashton had already met Demi's daughters and her ex-husband Bruce Willis. In a bold and surprising move, Ashton proposed to Demi only 2 months into their relationship. He planned a romantic midnight picnic on the beach in Santa Barbara and spelled out, "Marry me," with rose petals. The engagement ring was a 5-carat Asher-cut diamond worth $250,000. By the 4th month, they had moved in together and even started a production company called Catalyst Films. Their first project, Beauty and the Geek, became a hit, solidifying their status as a Hollywood power couple. However, their relationship faced a heartbreaking challenge when Demi suffered a miscarriage 6 months into her pregnancy. The loss devastated them, but they supported each other through grief counseling 3 times a week for months. Ashton later said this tragedy made him realize he was ready for fatherhood, strengthening their bond even more. The media was fascinated by their 15-year age gap, which became a major topic of public discussion. When they made their debut as a couple at the Charlie's Angels premiere that year, the press went wild. Over 200 photographers crowded the event, and some even offered $100,000 for a photo of them kissing. Late-night comedians and talk shows constantly joked about their relationship, and the term, cougar, became mainstream, with Demi often being called its poster child. Despite the jokes, Demi and Ashton faced the attention with humor. Demi appeared in a 2005 Saturday Night Live skit wearing old-age makeup, poking fun at the obsession with their age difference. In September 2005, Demi and Ashton had a private wedding at their Beverly Hills home with just 100 guests, including Bruce Willis. Demi wore a Lanvin gown and Ashton a cream Brooks Brothers suit. They exchanged vows under a Kabbalah chuppah, reflecting their spiritual beliefs. A touching moment came when Demi's daughters Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah read heartfelt letters to Ashton, who gave each girl a Cartier love bracelet to symbolize his commitment to their family. Bruce Willis was reportedly moved to tears by the ceremony. After their wedding, Demi and Ashton embraced their blended family life. They bought a home in Idaho, where they enjoyed family vacations and hosted themed parties. They often spent time together with Bruce Willis, co-parenting smoothly, and even vacationing as one big extended family. Bruce praised Ashton, saying he was one of the only men his daughters had told, "I love you." Ashton's role as a stepfather to Demi's daughters was significant. At just 27 years old, he took on the responsibility of helping to raise three girls aged 17, 14, and 11. He threw himself into the role, attending their school events, cheering at their performances, and even learning how to French braid their hair. Ashton admitted to taking parenting classes to better understand his role, saying love isn't something that gets divided but grows. He encouraged the girls' interests, helping Rumor set up her first Twitter account and producing her film The Whole 10 Yards. Scout credited him with inspiring her love of technology, which led her to study computer science. However, it wasn't always easy. Tallulah later wrote that Ashton's presence initially confused her, as she wasn't sure how to accept him in a fatherly role. Rumor even admitted she had a crush on Ashton before he started dating her mom, which added complexity to their relationship. Despite these challenges, Ashton remained close to the girls even after he and Demi split. He publicly supported Rumor during her Dancing with the Stars performances and celebrated her pregnancy announcement years later. Ashton said in 2020 that he would always love and root for them, showing his lasting dedication to the family he helped build. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher were thrilled when they found out they were expecting a baby. Moore was 41 years old and 6 months pregnant when, during a routine checkup on September 23, 2003, their joy turned into heartbreak. They found out their baby girl, Chaplin Ray, had no heartbeat. This loss crushed Moore, who had been sober for almost 20 years. She blamed herself, thinking her occasional drinking and smoking early in the pregnancy had caused it. The grief hit Moore hard. She became depressed and started using alcohol and painkillers like Vicodin to numb the pain. Her weight dropped dangerously low to just 98 pounds. The couple tried everything to have another baby, including IVF, but nothing worked. Moore felt even more broken. In 2019, she described this time as feeling completely lost and empty, struggling to understand how to cope. The miscarriage also hurt their marriage. Kutcher didn't fully understand Moore's pain. In her memoir Inside Out, Moore said he tried to support her but couldn't connect with what she was feeling. This emotional distance only grew and started to damage their relationship. In a desperate attempt to save their marriage, they tried unusual things. Moore revealed in her memoir that they even had threesomes because Kutcher asked for it. She wanted to make him happy and went along with it, but it left her feeling ashamed and unsure about their relationship. They also turned to spirituality for help, going to the Kabbalah Center in Los Angeles, and even traveling to Israel for a spiritual retreat. None of it worked. The pressure to have a baby, Moore's struggles with addiction, and their age gap only made things worse. Things got worse when rumors of Kutcher cheating came out on their 6th wedding anniversary, September 24, 2011. Kutcher reportedly spent the night with a 22-year-old woman, Sarah Leal. Moore had actually seen Leal before at a bowling alley where Leal boldly gave Kutcher her phone number in front of her and her daughter. Moore found out about the affair through a Google alert on her phone while getting ready for a red carpet event. When she confronted Kutcher, he admitted it. Moore said she was so shocked she couldn't breathe. She later learned he had cheated before with a 21-year-old woman named Brittany Jones. To make it worse, Kutcher tried to justify his actions, saying their threesomes had blurred the lines in their relationship. This only deepened Moore's hurt. The cheating became public, making things even harder for Moore. Just days after the scandal broke, they appeared together at an event for their Foundation Against Human Trafficking. Moore had to stand next to Kutcher as he spoke, even though she knew what he had done. It was humiliating. On November 17, 2011, Moore announced their separation. She said it was a painful but necessary decision and that she needed to stay true to her values. The divorce process dragged on for almost 2 years. Kutcher officially filed in December 2012 and the split was finalized in November. Moore later said the end of their marriage felt like a nightmare and deeply hurt her self-esteem. Kutcher admitted in a 2023 interview that divorce made him feel like a failure. Both of them struggled to heal, especially with so much of their pain being played out in public. Demi Moore's life started falling apart after her divorce from Ashton Kutcher. She had been sober for nearly 20 years, but everything changed and she fell back into addiction. Things got really bad on January 23, 2012, when Demi had a seizure during a party at her house in Benedict Canyon. She had been smoking synthetic cannabis and inhaling nitrous oxide. When someone called 911, they described her as semi-conscious and shaking. It was a terrifying moment, and the start of a very dark time for Demi. Her addiction became worse over the next 3 years. She started taking up to 12 Vicodin pills every day and drank Red Bull mixed with vodka. She was also obsessed with her body, spending hours looking in the mirror and convincing herself she needed to be thinner. Her health got so bad that she weighed only 102 pounds. The stress, exhaustion, and lack of proper food caused seizures, and she barely held on. During this time, Demi became very isolated. She avoided her family and friends and spent most of her time alone. She missed her daughter Rumer's 30th birthday and stopped showing up for other important family events. By September 2012, Demi finally went to rehab at a luxury center in Utah called Cirque Lodge. It cost $150,000 a month, but it was a necessary step for her to start getting better. Demi's addiction didn't just hurt her, it deeply affected her relationship with her 3 daughters, Rumer, Scout, and Tallulah. Things got so bad that Demi and her daughters stopped talking for 3 years. Tallulah, who was just 25 at the time, explained how scary it was. She said it felt like her mom became a different person, like a monster. She remembered feeling anxious whenever Demi's behavior changed, like when her speech slowed or she acted overly affectionate. Tallulah even developed an eating disorder and body image issues because of the stress. Rumer, who was 31, was angry and heartbroken. She said it felt like her mom's addiction had stolen something precious from her. She also talked about a terrifying moment when she had to call 911 to save her mom's life. Scout, who was 28, felt abandoned and believed her mom didn't love her. The 3 sisters eventually stopped speaking to Demi entirely. In 2012, they didn't even go to her 50th birthday, and Demi missed milestones in their lives, like Rumer's appearance on Dancing with the Stars in 2015. For years, they weren't on good terms, but everything started to change on November 12, 2015. Tallulah, the youngest, had just finished rehab after struggling with substance abuse and an eating disorder. She bravely decided to reach out to her mom. This was the first time they saw each other in almost 3 years. Demi didn't waste any time, she flew to New York right away to meet her daughter. Rebuilding their bond wasn't easy. In a 2019 episode of Red Table Talk, the family talked about how hard things had been. Tallulah said she felt abandoned. Rumer admitted she used to have panic attacks at the thought of running into her mom. Scout confessed she was angry and full of resentment. Demi took responsibility, admitting her struggles with addiction had hurt her family deeply. She worked hard to fix things, going to therapy and family counseling for 18 months. A major breakthrough happened in 2017 when they spent a week at a retreat in Arizona. They meditated together and did exercises to heal emotionally. Now things are much better between them. They spend holidays together, support each other on social media, and even work on projects as a family. For Demi's 60th birthday in 2022, her daughter surprised her by getting matching tattoos of the word mother in her handwriting. It was a beautiful way to show how close they've become. Demi also stayed close to Bruce Willis even after their marriage ended in 2000. They've shown that divorce doesn't have to mean the end of a family. When Bruce's family announced in 2022 that he had aphasia, Demi was one of the first to share the news and show her support. Since then, she's been there for him, spending time with Bruce and his wife Emma Hemming Willis. In 2023, Demi joined Bruce's family to celebrate his 68th birthday. She even posted a sweet video of everyone singing "Happy Birthday" together. It went viral and showed just how strong their bond still is. Back in 2019, Demi even showed up at Bruce's Comedy Central roast and made jokes about their past. She said, "I was married to Bruce for the first 3 Die Hard movies, which makes sense because the last 2 sucked." People loved seeing how they could laugh about their history. They've also supported each other's new relationships. Demi attended Bruce's wedding to Emma in 2009, and Bruce was at Demi's wedding to Ashton Kutcher in 2005. Their kids have appreciated how their parents stayed respectful and loving. Rumor once said that having divorced parents who still care about each other is the best example of love she could have asked for. At 62, Demi's views on love have completely changed. On her birthday in 2024, she told Vogue that she's learned the most important relationship is the one she has with herself. She doesn't need anyone to complete her because she feels whole on her own. She even came up with a term for her new lifestyle, solo partnering. It means she's focusing on her own growth and happiness. She's not looking for a romantic partner, but she's open to love if it comes her way. This idea became so popular that #solopartnering was trending online right after the interview. Demi's approach to dating is also different now. In the past year, she went on only 3 dates, all carefully chosen. One of them was with an astrophysicist she met at a TED Talk. They went stargazing in the Mojave Desert. Demi said it wasn't romantic, but it was an experience she'll always remember because it was so meaningful. Surprisingly, Demi has also become friends with Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher's wife. They even started a book club together and meet every 2 weeks to talk about books and life. Fans love how mature and forgiving Demi has become. As for the future, Demi hasn't ruled out love, but now she's clear about what she wants. If she does fall for someone, it'll be someone who adds to her life, not someone she feels she needs to be complete. And they absolutely have to love her dog Puff, who's a little Instagram star with over 2 million followers.